Kakadosh, Boker Or, Shavua Tov, Chodesh Tov. I wanted to share with you an incredible idea on this week's Parashat Korach. There's an Or HaChaim HaKadosh. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh comes and it says an incredible Yisod. Cain is over here and he's rebelling against Moshe Rabbenu. And Moshe Rabbenu comes against Hashem, against everybody. And Moshe Rabbenu comes and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you're going to create something which will come and will make a new creation, but that it will swallow him alive, so therefore I know that the lamb will open up its mouth and take them in, I was the one, right, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you sent me to do this to him. And if not, then not. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh says something incredible, and he says like this: from the time that Cain killed Hevel, we're going back to the beginning of creation. Cain, the two brothers in the world, Cain and Hevel. Cain killed Hevel. What did he do? He buried him in the ground. From that moment that he buried him in the ground was sealed that it wasn't able to say Shida anymore. Every single creature in this world sings to Hashem its praises. And since the ground took in Hevel, that he was a tzaddik, and he was murdered by his brother in cold blood, and he went, what happened? All of a sudden he ceased. He wasn't able to say Shira. Says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, but now that Moshe Rabbenu is saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the land should open up. This was already a Bria that you already created this opening, this feature. But just open it up now to swallow up Korach, All of a sudden what's going to happen? All of a sudden now it's going to continue being able to say Shira from the beginning. So therefore what we wanted to understand is, it sounds very beautiful, but what's the connection between Korach, Cain? What's going on with Hevel, the land swallowing up? How do we understand this? So we're going to have to look, and this shiur is based upon a sefer called Nishmat Gilgulim, Torat Chaim, Ashla Kadosh on this week's parasha, on the Arizal Kadosh, the Zohar Kadosh. There's going to be the Shimshon Mestropoli. There's a lot of different. The Ramami Fano, there's the Rabbi Levi, Rabbi Shlomo Levi El Kabetz, the Lechadodi, a lot of rabbis that they come and they say an incredible Yisod, but we're going to have to go a little bit deep into Gilgulim. We're going to have to understand what exactly happened. We're going to start history, plus what exactly happened when the world was created. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the world. We have Adam and Chava, and they have their first child. Their first child is Cain. Did anybody ever think, who did Cain get married to? How did he have children? What's going on? So the Torah doesn't actually say it in the Torah, but we know that there was a twin sister that was born to Cain. And Cain married his twin sister. And that's why, even though such a thing is prohibited, incest, the Pasuk says, Olam Chesed Ibaneh, the world was built on Chesed. Why was it built on Chesed? Because you're not allowed to marry your sister. The opposite. In the Torah, when it says about the morality, and somebody that lives with his sister, they get killed because they did Chesed. What does that mean, Chesed? So I once heard an incredible Yisod based upon the Targum, right, Unkulus and Oziel there on the Pasuk, that it's Chesed. Chesed is anything when you go outside of your boundaries. If I owe you something and I do it, I didn't do you Chesed, I'm obligated to do it. But if I'm not obligated to do it and then I do it for you, that is called chesed. So I just did chesed with you. Says the rabbis, right, something very, very interesting. What happens is that right now when a person takes this brotherhood and they took it too far outside of the boundaries, that's the negative chesed. Usually chesed is positive. I went and I did you a favor. I did something good for you. Here it's a negative chesed. I went on the negative side and therefore it's called chesed. But the world was built upon chesed. So Cain got married to his twin sister and that's how they continued the world. Hevel is then born. When Hevel is born, he was born with two twin sisters. Why? Because it says in the Pasuk, Vatosef laledet et achiv et Havel. Why does it say et? Because it says both times et, because there was two twin sisters. Hevel was born with a Brit Milah already done, and he was a shepherd. Now what happens is that when he was born, right, he's going to get married to both the sisters. Now Cain, right, does not like this. Cain, he says, I'm the Bechor, I should get the second sister. You could take one of your twins and marry her, but I should get the second one. Now Cain, right, has big problems with Hevel. He's very, very jealous of Hevel. He brings a korban, and when he brings a korban, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not accept his korban, because he brought from the wool and linen, but he didn't bring from the animals. He didn't bring from the best, and Hevel brought from the best of his korbanot. He brought the animals. He brought the sheep, the best. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers the prayer of Hevel and not of Cain. But something very interesting. It says in the Zohar HaKadosh that when Hashem answered the prayer of the korban, the sacrifice of Hevel, it came down the Shekhinah and Zachadato, which means he became haughty, and he looked at the Shekhinah. When he looked at the Shekhinah, he defected the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu of Aleph, Hey, Yod, Hey, Eyeh, and the Aleph and Yod, he defected it because he looked at the Shekhinah. And really, Be'emet, he was supposed to die on the spot, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu did chesed that he didn't want him to die at the time that he's bringing a korban, so therefore, he just waited. However, though, says the Rabbi something very, very interesting. What happens is that all of a sudden, right, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes, right, and he hints this to Cain, where he says, Hevel achicha, Aleph Yod, where is he? What do you mean, where is he? It's because of that he died. But what happens? What happened is that Cain went, and he's already angry with Hevel, and then he lives with this sister. He lives with this sister, which prohibiting her. She was a married woman. She's married to Hevel, both twins. He went with her. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset with Cain. He says, Haloim tetiv se'et. Se'et, right? That if you're not going to do good, but you're going to carry the sin. Se'et is the letters Shet. Then you went and you slept with your brother's wife. What are you doing exactly? And what happened is that Cain comes and he wants to kill Hevel. So he goes to fight against Hevel, and Hevel pins him on the floor. Hevel is stronger than Cain. He pins him, and he's going to... So Cain comes and he says, please, have mercy. What? We're only two brothers. What are you going to say to our father? So again, Hevel, he comes and he starts thinking to himself, you know what? What am I going to... Fine. Zachadato, again, he was... what's he going to do already? I'm stronger than him. He lets him go. Vayakom Cain. Cain gets up, and he kills him right away. Which means that the second that he let him go, he got up and right away, he's off like Kilu. I just let him live. He's not going to do anything. Boom, that's when he killed him. Now, it's actually something written that he didn't even know where the neshama came out. So he came in either the one, according to one opinion, he bit him or he stabbed him 10 times, right? And that's with the words, kol demei achicha. The sound of the blood of your brother, but it says demei, dam, blood, yod, right? 10. And that's actually going to be connected much later on to do with Paro and the 10 plagues and the number 10. Fine. What happens is that now he comes and he buries him in the ground. And he buries Hevel in the ground, right? And now what happens is, that's it. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Cain and he says, what's going on? What are you doing? Shiva time you come, Cain. You're going to come and you're going to need to be fixed up. But Shiva time is 7. But we actually know it's actually 7 times 7, because Hevel lived in this world, says that HaKadosh, for 49 days. 7 times 7 is 49, right? And Hey, the letter Hey, is in this world, because this world was created with the letter Hey. As it says, Ele tolodot hashamayim v'aretz behi baream, be'ot Hey, behei baream. He created this world with the letter Hey. And therefore what happens is that later on, there's going to be a mateh. The mateh is the staff. We know that this staff is mateh, is memtet, hey, 49 in this world. Okay, just have that in mind for later on. What happens is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he says, 1 second, right? What's going on? Cain, you're going to need to fix up. How do we fix you up? You come, Cain. What is you come? Yod, Kuf, Mem. Yitro, Korach, Mitzri. Why? When a person sins, every human being has a nefesh, ruach, and neshama. They have different parts of their soul. They have the lowest part, which is the nefesh. The ruach is a little bit higher up, and then they have the neshama. What happens is that the nefesh, which is the lowest part of Cain, has to come as a Gilgul in the Mitzri, in the Egyptian that Moshe Rabbenu is going to kill in Parashat Shemot. Later on, the ruach is going to go into Korach, And the highest level, which is the neshama, is going to go into Yitro. So now what happens is that, right, it says Shivatayim Yukam Kain. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to put a letter on the forehead of Kain to make sure nobody's going to kill him. There's a difference of opinion whether the letter of was the name of Yud Ke Vav Ke, was it the letter Yod or Vav. However, though, right, that's what's actually brought down. Okay, let's continue. Adam Arishon, he's so upset of everything that occurred. He separates from his wife for 130 years. He's very down. And after 130 years, he goes with his wife, and they have another child. What is that child? Shet. Shet was also born with a Brit Milah, and Shet was actually a Gilgul, a reincarnation of Hevel. Why? The pasuk says as follows. He says, right, Vayeda Adam od et ishto. He knew his wife, right, Chava, and they had a child. Shemo, they called him Shet. Ki shat li Elohim zera acher. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me another child. Tachat Hevel, in place of Hevel. Ki harago Kain, because Kain killed him. Which means that really Be'emet, if Be'emet, it's mamash, it's Hevel. And if Be'emet, Kain wouldn't have killed Hevel, really Be'emet, Shet wouldn't have been born. And that's what we understand. Right? And they look the same, and they are, everything was the same. Right? Okay, and then it says, Hechal likro b'shem, that's also Hevel. Because it says that Shet, they started calling the name of Hashem, so that was also the first letters of Hechal likro b'shem, is also Hevel. And he went against Avodah Zarah, and he was a tzaddik. Okay, fine. Now what happens is that after Shet dies, right, what happens is, he goes into Moshe Rabbenu. Now we're going to actually go and start the story. What does that mean? Moshe Rabbenu, the word Moshe, stands for Mem for Moshe, Shin for Shet, Hey for Hevel. Okay, and it was going up. So Hevel, Shet, Moshe. How do we know this? Because it says Ki minimara mishitihu, that they draw him forth from the water. Right? Mishitihu is Mishet Hu. He comes from Shet. When it says that when they saw him, he was also born with a Brit Milah, and he was a shepherd. But it says, Haya Roeh. He was a shepherd. What does it mean? Not only now he's a shepherd, he was a shepherd already from the time of Hevel, because he was a shepherd, he was Hevel. So what happens is, it says that he also took the mateh, right, which is the staff, which we already explained that the mateh was that he lived 49 days in this world, and the mateh is mitov Hevelhu, right? Moshe is Tuv Hevel. He's the best of Hevel. Means he's the highest level of Hevel. And therefore, that's when he's actually going to finish. So now what happens is Amram comes, and he's separated from his wife. And what happens is something very, very interesting. He separates from his wife, and when he separates from his wife goes and gets married to Elitzefam and Parnach, and has another 2 children, Eldad Umeidad. If you remember, we already brought down that Eldad Umeidad were the half-brothers of Moshe Rabbenu, but what happens is that there's a machloke between Yonatan and Oziel, and that's Kerim Balet Tosfot, where they have brothers from the father or from the mother. According to this opinion, they have brothers from the mother. So now, usually we have halacha that the second that she went and got married to somebody else, she can't get married again to Amram. But Amram realizes that she becomes a Bat Levi again. She goes back, because at the age of 130, which that's how many years Adam Arishon separated from his wife, all of a sudden, what happens is that she becomes a youngster again. So he comes and he takes her back, and he has Moshe Rabbenu. And this is the Moshe that we have. Now, something very, very interesting is that what happens with this Moshe Rabbenu? Moshe Rabbenu comes, and he sees the fire in the burning bush, and all of a sudden, he doesn't look. The Shekhinah is right there, and he doesn't look. Why? Because he already knows that I have to fix myself. In his previous reincarnation, he looked at the Shekhinah, and that's why he was punished. And what did he defect? The name of Aleph Yod in the name of Eyeh, right? The Aleph Yod. All of a sudden, he doesn't look at the fire, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he says, Eyeh asher Eyeh, Eyeh shelachani elechem. I'm Eyeh. You fixed up in the fact that now you didn't look in the fire. You didn't look at the Shekhinah. And more than that, Moshe was anav mikol adam. He was the most humble. And that fixed up that Hevel became a little bit haughty, that he looked at the Shekhinah. So Moshe Rabbeinu actually fixed up Hevel. He fixed him up, because now all of a sudden Hashem says, hey, yeah, I am now a full complete. But now it's much more than that, because now let's try to go into what happened with Cain. there's a pasuk, right, that we know that the entire concept, right, of, right, that we know that all of a sudden, right, that the entire concept of killing, right, what happens exactly when somebody gets murdered? So there's a pasuk. The pasuk comes and it says something incredible. The pasuk says, "Shofech dam ha'adam," right? Damo ki shofech dam adam ba'adam damo yishafech. What does that mean? The Arizal HaKadosh says something which is very, very scary. When somebody murders somebody else, what happens is that all of a sudden, what happens is that when somebody murders somebody else, what happens is that they have to come back in reincarnation and they have to kill their murderer. Meaning the one that was killed, the one that was murdered, has to kill the murderer. So what happens is that Moshe Rabbenu is brought back. And remember, Moshe is Hevel. Who was he killed by? By Cain. And all of a sudden, Moshe Rabbenu, who does he see? The Mitzri. The Mitzri is Cain. So he has to kill him. But now look what happens. What did Cain do? Cain came and he lived with the wife of Hevel. What did this Mitzri do? The exact same thing. This Mitzri came and he slept with Shlomi Badivri. It was the only case of immorality throughout the entire concept of Egypt. And therefore, what happened is that he slept with Shlomi Badivri. We know what happened. He comes, he called out the husband, he made him work, and then he went into the tent. She thought it was a husband. And then all of a sudden, when the husband realized, he started beating up the husband. Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he says, I don't understand what you're doing. You did the exact same averah. Right? It says, he's hitting a Jewish brother. We thought the Makei Shivri, Me'echav meant that the Ivri is his brother. He said, no. Moshe Rabbeinu sees his brother in the Mitzri. He sees Cain in the Mitzri. And he says, now I have to kill him. So therefore, he has to kill him. But now when he's going to kill him, he's not going to kill him out of revenge. He wants to bring up the Neshama. So how does he bring up the Neshama? He doesn't use a sword. He uses the name of Hashem. In the part of the names of the Hashem has a 42-letter name, which is in Ana V'Choach. In Ana V'Choach, there's 6. Ana V'Choach, Kedulati Minecha, Tatil Tzerura. There's 6 in every single verse, and there's 7 days of the week. And therefore, every single day you say a different one. So 6 times 7 is 42. There's a 42. These are names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So one of these names, Moshe Rabbeinu actually used in order to kill the Egyptian. And since he went and he killed the Egyptian with the name of Hashem, right? And there's a famous question. If he went and he looked around and nobody was around, Vayar Kienish, and then he went and he hit the Egyptian. But all of a sudden, the Tam Aviram, they knew that he killed him with the name of Hashem. How did they know? Nobody was around. And the reason why is since he killed him with the name of Hashem, on his forehead was still the name of Hashem. Right? They were still around in the area, the name of Hashem there. So they saw the name of Hashem, they realized that that's how he killed him. But the reason why he killed him in such a fashion was to bring up, to elevate the neshama. So the second that he killed the Mitzri, what does he do? He hides him in the ground. He puts him in the ground. Remember, Hevel in the ground. Now he puts him in the ground. And then what happens? Right? All of a sudden the nefesh, which was now fixed because he was killed, goes right into Yitro. And this is the time when Yitro now, he does Brit Milah, he converts at this moment, and the Ruach goes to Korach, and that's when Korach is born. Korach is born when the Mitzri is killed. And now Korach is born. Okay, beautiful. Let's continue. All of a sudden, what happens is, Moshe Rabbeinu has to run away. So he runs away to who? To Yitro. Now we already mentioned that Yitro was the highest level of the Neshama. We know that when a person comes and he sins, many times they could defect the Nefesh and the Ruach, which is the lowest part, but the Neshama, even there's part of the Neshama that can never be defected. And that's why when we say Elokai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehora, it's Tehora because no matter what you could do, it's always pure. You can never defect the real Neshama. So what happens is that Yitro has the highest level of the Neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Hevel, of Cain. And now what happens is Moshe Rabbeinu is coming, and now he saves the daughters of Yitro. Now, if you actually pay attention, what do we say? We said Shivatayim Yukam Cain. The pasuk says that in 7, so it's 7 generations from there to what we say to Cain, right? But it's even more than the 7 generations going from Abraham to Moshe Rabbenu, but it's also going to be Yitro has 7 daughters. Yitro has 7 names. And Moshe Rabbenu, there's one opinion that says he had 7 names or 10 names. 7 names. Shivatayim Yukam Cain. Cain is going to be fixed up with the number of 7. So what happens? Moshe Rabbenu runs to the place of Yitro and over to Midian, and all of a sudden he saves the girls. And the girls come home and they say, what happened? Says Yitro, what went on? He said, no, Ish Mitzri Tzilanu. The Egyptian saved us. The Egyptian saved us? Why the Egyptian? Moshe Rabbenu was not an Egyptian. And if you're going to tell me now that it was because of what happened with the Egyptian, so say the Tam Aviram. The Tam Aviram snitched, and that's what got him over here. And what's going on? Or Paro? What is the Ish Mitzri? The Ish Mitzri was one that saved him because now Yitro was able to convert and he was able to have the Dam of the Brit Milah, which atoned for the blood. And therefore he wasn't going to be killed. What happens? He comes and he says, Ve'ayo, where's this guy? Where is he? Why does it say Ve'ayo, the Vav? This extra Vav was from the Moshe Rabbeinu, the Ot that he had on Cain. And all of a sudden he says, where is he? Right? And Ve'ayo, the Aleph Yod, where is he? So call him. He's going to eat bread. What does that mean? The simple explanation, call him. If he did you a favor, give him bread to eat. Invite him over. Give him bread. Bread is the woman. The woman is called the bread of the human being. Why is he called the bread? By Yosef HaTzadik, it says by the wife of Potiphar, Yosef comes and he tells the wife of Potiphar, listen, he gave me everything except for the ba'asher alechem asher ochel, but the bread that he eats. That's the only thing that I don't have. So how am I going to live with you? You're the bread that he eats. I can't live with you. The bread is the woman. Yitro comes and he wants to do teshuvah for Cain. And all of a sudden, listen to what happens. When Cain kills Hevel, how many averot did he do? Number 1, he killed Hevel. So now we already mentioned that Hevel had to come back to kill Cain. So that was Moshe Rabbeinu killing the Mitzri. But more than that, he committed adultery. He took the twin, right, of the Hevel for himself, the wife. Number 2, when he killed Hevel, he took a sheep. Right? Number 3, right, he went and he said, let din velet dayan. He said, there's no judge and there's no judges. I can do whatever I want and nobody's going to stop me. And therefore, that's what he says. And also, he didn't serve to HaKadosh Baruch Hu any type of a sacrifice. He served the wool and linen, if you remember. Yitro comes and he does a full tikkun. He completely fixes up Cain. What does he do? Listen to what he does. He comes and he says, 1 second, Moshe Rabbenu, I'll give you Tzipporah. Who's Tzipporah? Tzipporah is the twin that I took from you. I'm giving you my daughter. Take her. Right? And this we actually see because why is her name Tzipporah? Says the Shlach Kadosh. Because, right, she was metaheret. That brings a midrash that she purifies the house just like a tzipor, the bird, purifies the house from tzarat. When a person has leprosy, she purifies everything. And now we actually understand why Moshe Rabbeinu took her as a wife. If you think about it, there's a question that I'm sure bothered a lot of people for a long time. Right? And this is what the Shlach Kadosh says. He says Moshe Rabbeinu was holy man, yeah? Very holy. He didn't even nurse from a wet nurse, from a woman that she was not Jewish. They had to get Yocheved, the mother, to come and wet nurse him because he wasn't going to be freed from anybody. So then how could it be that he went and he got married to the non-Jew? He got married to Tzipporah. Why didn't he get married to any other of the Jews that were in Egypt? He got married to Tzipporah. What's going on? But rather Moshe Rabbeinu understood that Tzipporah was his thigh. Tzipporah was his wife. In the previous Gilgul, he was taking her back. So Yitro comes and he does teshuvah. He gives back the twin. He gives back the wife. He gives it back. He said, Moshe Rabbeinu, this is yours. Take her. And then what does he do? He gives him the sheep back. And now Moshe Rabbeinu comes the shepherd of Yitro. Moshe Rabbeinu still wanted to call it the sheep of Yitro, but he didn't really want to accept it. Right? But really, Be'emet, Yitro gave it back to him. All of a sudden, Yitro comes and he does teshuvah. What did he say? Let him let the yan. There's no judges, no judges. What does he say? Now I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the greatest of all the gods. He does teshuvah. I know that Hashem is the greatest of all the gods. And then what does he do? He's the one that sets up the system of the judges, of all the judges, the court system. He sets it up. He tells Moshe Rabbeinu how to do it and what did. So he does teshuvah. And then he brings Olah Uzvachim Lelokim. He comes and he brings sacrifices, which are the animals, for the God. So what happens? We come and we see from here that Yitro actually comes and he does teshuvah. Moshe Rabbeinu, he comes and he leaves Yitro. When Yitro already did a complete teshuvah, complete fixing up of Cain. But there's still Korach, if you remember. Korach was still involved. Korach again is jealous of Moshe Rabbenu. So he starts fighting with Moshe Rabbenu. He starts arguing with him. And Moshe Rabbenu now comes and he says, 1 second, again you're going to be jealous of me? Again you're going to start up? And he comes and he says, 1 second, the land was punished. Because remember that the land, right, the land was punished because it had Hevel, which was a tzaddik inside of it. Moshe Rabbeinu comes now and he says, now the land is going to open up, and now it's going to take back Cain. And now, what happened? Beforehand, right, it was, whenever it was singing the Shirah, it always makes a Kiddush Hashem, it sanctifies the name of Hashem. The biggest Kiddush Hashem is that the land is going to open up and swallow up alive Korach. And therefore now it's going to be continuing, so now it's going to be the tikkun of the land. The land is going to be fixed up, and now all of a sudden the land opens up, and it takes in Korach and everything of Korach. Why? Because now Cain gets completely fixed, and Moshe Rabbeinu is completely fixed. Now everyone is fixed. Everyone is perfect. The way that the entire world is actually here. It's something incredible. And this just shows you how every single step of the way we needed to have, whether it was that it was going to be Moshe Rabbeinu, that he started with Hevel, Shet, and then it was afterwards Moshe Rabbeinu, right? The shepherds, whether it's going to be that they were all born with a Brit Milah, whether it's going to be that it was from the best of it, with all the incredible concepts, whether what happened in the story with Moshe Rabbeinu with Mitzri, Moshe Rabbeinu with Yitro, Moshe Rabbeinu with Korach, everything now comes into the place that we actually mentioned from the beginning. So I just wanted to share with you this beautiful Dvar Torah. There's obviously much more of what to bring down, but I only just brought you down a tip of the iceberg just to understand a little bit about the power of the Gilgulim and how to explain what's going on in the stories and all the different things which are going on, because this is just the beauty of our Toratenu Kedosha and all the words of our holy rabbis. Be'ezrat Hashem, I wish you a wonderful day, wonderful month, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we should always continue to grow in Torah Nirat Shamayim and fulfill our tikkun, fix ourselves in this world. Be'ezrat Hashem, amen. Enjoy.